There is a window closing on your hive right now, and it is smaller than you think. Not weeks, days. The bees your colony needs to survive winter are being sealed into their cells as you watch this, and whatever mite load is riding on them at the moment that wax cap goes on is the mite load they carry for the rest of their short, compromised lives. Once that cell is capped, you cannot reach in and fix it. The window to protect this generation is closing, and for a lot of colonies across the country, it is closing this week. Here's the full story. Let me explain why a few days is not exaggeration, because the biology behind this is precise and it does not negotiate with your schedule. A honeybee larva spends about 6 days as an open, uncapped larva before the workers seal the cell with a wax cap. Once capped, the larva pupates undisturbed, invisible, protected, and if there is a mite in that cell when the cap goes on, that mite has a private nursery for the next several days with no interference from you, from the colony's grooming behavior, or from anything else. It feeds. It reproduces. It rides the developing bee to emergence. There is no reaching into a capped cell. There is no do-over. Whatever happens in there happens, and it is decided the moment the cell closes. Now here is why this particular week matters more than almost any other week of the year. The bees being capped right now, in many parts of the country, are not ordinary summer bees. They are the beginning of the winter bee generation, the long-lived, fat-bodied bees that will carry your colony through months of cold. A summer bee lives 6 weeks, and nobody grieves too hard if a few of them carry extra mite damage. A winter bee is different. It is the only thing standing between your colony and a dead box in February. And winter bees are compromised by exactly the thing that is happening inside capped cells this week. Varroa mites feeding on their developing fat bodies, the organ that gives a winter bee its long life and its immune strength. So the sequence is brutal and precise. If your mite level is high right now, the winter bees being capped this week are being damaged this week, not next month. Right now, while you decide whether this video is worth 10 more minutes of your time. By the time you notice anything wrong, a booming colony in September, a slow decline in November, a dead cluster in February, the decision was already made, days ago, in a window you didn't know was closing. Let me give you the number that should make this feel urgent rather than theoretical. Recent tracking put United States winter colony losses at over 40% in the worst recent season, the highest ever recorded. Not a fringe statistic. Backyard beekeepers, side yard hobbyists, people with 1 or 2 hives in the yard, all caught in the same wave. And when researchers looked at what the failed colonies had in common, Varroa and the viruses it carries were the dominant thread running through nearly all of them. Deformed wing virus alone showed up in close to 90% of the colonies that did not make it. Here is the part that should really land. The variation between beekeepers was enormous. Some lost everything. Some came through completely fine, in the same region, in the same weather. The difference was not luck. It was whether the mite load was addressed in the fall window while the winter bees were still being made, or left until it was too late to matter. You are either about to be one of the beekeepers who acted in time, or one of the beekeepers standing over a dead box in February, wondering what went wrong. And the decision point is not in February. It is right now. Quick word before I go on. Everything I've learned about mite timing, the treatment windows, the natural methods, and the fall calendar that actually gets a colony through to spring, I gathered it all into the Hive Vault over at daleshive.com. The link's in the description below and on the channel page if you want it. This video's free and always will be. The Vault's just the long version for folks who want the whole thing. I won't mention it again. So here is exactly what to do, starting today, because the whole point of this video is that you do not have time to research this at length. You have time to act. Step 1, right now, count. Do not guess. Do not go by how the hive looks. A strong, busy-looking colony can be carrying a mite load that is already damaging its winter bees, and there is no visual shortcut around this. Do a sugar roll or an alcohol wash on a sample of about 300 bees from the brood nest. It takes 10 minutes. It costs about $2 in supplies, and it gives you the one number that actually matters: mites per 100 bees. Step 2, know the threshold, and it is lower than you think. Heading into the fall window, when winter bees are being raised, the action threshold most experienced beekeepers use is around 2 to 3 mites per 100 bees, and plenty act even below that, because these are the bees that have to survive 5 months of cold and there is no margin for a wait-and-see approach. If your count comes back at or above that number, you move to Step 3 today, not this weekend, today. Step 3. Treat now with something that will actually work in current temperatures and confirm it is not one of the treatments that mites have started beating. This is the part almost nobody talks about, and it matters this year more than most. Resistance to some of the most commonly used mite treatments has spread widely, meaning a beekeeper who applies their usual product and assumes the job is done may be carrying a far higher mite load than they think. Whatever method you choose, an appropriate treatment for the current temperature, a brood interruption if you're mid-split already, drone comb removal if you have it in place. The point is to act inside this window, not to trust blindly that last year's method is still doing what it used to do. Step 4. Heft the hive and feed if it's light. This is not the main event of this video, but it rides along with the same urgency. A colony raising winter bees on inadequate nutrition produces weaker winter bees even if the mites are handled. Lift the back of the hive. If it feels light, feed inside the box, not in the open yard, because open feed during a dearth starts a robbing war that undoes everything else you just did. Step 5. Recheck. Whatever you do this week, do not assume it worked and walk away for the season. Recount in a couple of weeks to confirm the treatment brought the number down. And watch for reinvasion, as struggling colonies nearby collapse under their own mite loads in the coming weeks. Your strong bees may rob them out and bring their mites home with them. A clean count today is not a permanent guarantee. It is a snapshot, and the picture can change. That is the entire plan. Count, know the threshold, treat now with something that actually works, feed if light, recheck. 5 steps, and every one of them needs to start this week, because the bees that need protecting are being sealed into their cells while you read this. I want to be straight with you about something, because I'm not going to manufacture panic where it doesn't belong. This does not mean your hive is doomed if you're reading this and haven't counted yet. It means the window to protect this specific generation of winter bees is short, and every day inside that window that you act is a day that generation develops with a lower mite load instead of a higher one. There is no moment where it becomes completely pointless, but there is a real cost to waiting, measured in the health of the exact bees that have to carry your colony through winter. And I want to be honest that counting and treating is not a guarantee. Hard years happen even to careful beekeepers, but the beekeepers who count and act in this window are dramatically less likely to be standing over a dead box in February than the ones who look at a strong September hive, assume it's fine, and do nothing. You are not buying certainty. You are buying much better odds for the cost of a jar of powdered sugar and an afternoon. Here are the mistakes that turn a few days left into too late. Mistake 1 is judging by appearance. This has been the theme of everything I've told you, because it is the single most common reason beekeepers miss this window entirely. A strong-looking colony tells you nothing about its mite load. Count. Mistake 2 is trusting last year's treatment without verifying it worked. With resistance spreading, the method that worked fine 2 seasons ago may be doing far less than you assume. Treat, then recheck to confirm. Mistake 3 is waiting for a convenient weekend. The winter bees are being capped on the colony's schedule, not yours. A treatment applied 2 weeks from now protects bees that are already emerged and misses the ones that mattered. Mistake 4 is treating once and never rechecking. Reinvasion from collapsing colonies nearby can undo a clean count within weeks. This window needs at least one follow-up check before you can trust the number. Mistake 5 is skipping the nutrition check because the mite work feels like the whole job. A colony fighting mites on an empty stomach still raises weak winter bees. Heft the hive while you're out there. Picture 2 versions of your hive next February. In the first, you watched this video, thought about doing the sugar roll sometime soon, and got busy with something else. The days passed, the winter bees got capped with whatever mite load was riding on them at the time, unchecked. The colony looked fine right through October, and somewhere in the depths of winter, it quietly ran out of bees capable of holding the cluster together, and it died. and you'll stand over it wondering if it was the cold. In the second, you stopped what you were doing today, mixed up a sugar roll with a mason jar and $2 of powdered sugar, got your number, and acted on it inside this window, treating if needed, feeding if light, checking again in a couple of weeks to be sure. The winter bees capped this week emerged healthy, fat, and built to last. And in February, while a huge share of hives across the country don't make it, yours is quietly clustered, working through its stores, made of bees that were protected in the 1 week it actually mattered. Same hive, same weather, same starting point right now, this minute, reading this sentence. The only difference between those 2 Februaries is what you do in the next few days. Drop a comment and tell me your mite count the last time you checked. Or tell me if this is the video that's finally getting you to check for the first time. I read every single one at Dale's Hive. And if you want the full fall survival plan laid out step by step so you're never scrambling like this again, it's waiting in the vault at daleshive.com. Link in the description. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because next week we're doing a full walkthrough of the sugar roll and alcohol wash, start to finish, so you can get your number with total confidence. You have a few days, not because I'm trying to scare you into watching, because that's genuinely how the biology works. Go get your number. Now you know exactly what to do with it.